Announcing the commencement of the first purge.
I want you to change the world, and don't think that this is going to happen peacefully or you can do it alone. We need to kill the rich. You get out there, you use your weapons, and you rip Washington apart. You hunt down the billionaires, the bank bosses, the CEOs, the scumbags, and the liars, the governors, the lobbyists, the senators, because they're all the same, and you hang them.
Just remember all the good the purge does.
Good morning, everyone. It is February 8th, 2020. Stupid people. They surround us. But you really can't blame a lot of them for being stupid. After all, they are a product of the public school system. But this is totally insane. Slash Republicans' throats. A liberal college student howls as media, radical Dems, and hollyhorse freak out over Trump being acquitted. I mean, anybody with any kind of fucking sense should have seen this coming from a mile away. They should have known Trump would be acquitted. They should have known that this was all a staged play and everyone played their role perfectly. So, when I go over some of what Susan Duclos said, you must take with a grain of salt her words, because she is one of the sickened sycophants of the right. And, of course, there's a lot of sickened sycophants for the left. You know, like the Young Turks, for example. So, you can expect there to be chaos from now on. You remember Tyrese from The Walking Dead, earlier episodes with him in it, and kept flashbacking to these radio broadcasts talking about random groups of people going around attacking others with machetes. Well, you can probably expect something of that nature to start happening, among other things. I'm just saying, okay? I'm just saying that you should be expecting the worst from here on out. If you expect the worst and you don't get it, then it's a relief, right? So that's why I'm telling you this. All right, here we go. She says it's hard to say which group of liberals took President Trump's success with his State of the Union speech being acquitted by the Senate and the great economic news. There's not really any great economic news. We lost more jobs than we've gained. And yes, he's good at selling the world more nuclear weapons, among other things, but it's really not going to help us. Probably in the long run, if civilization is left standing, those weapons that are being sold abroad will end up being used on us. So just saying, just putting it out there. So I covered yesterday the fact that we lost over 500,000 jobs, and it doesn't look like it's going to get any better. So there's no great economic news. That's bullshit. But I digress. That has been great economic news that has been reported, but you'll see shortly that this is not the case. Exposing Nancy Pelosi as a petulant child, and she is, because that's her role. She's being paid to play a role. Do you really believe that these people actually have a problem with each other? Do you believe that? I got some land on the moon I'm trying to sell. You want it? As representative of the Democratic Party, which she leads, and this is not going to be the case pretty soon, but because there won't be any parties. Celebrities went nuts on social media. The liberal establishment media lost their minds on public television, whining and moaning and complaining, and you know what? They probably did. The college-age student quite literally screeched for President Trump's throat to be cut, then asserted that all Republicans should have their throats cut. Okay. So this mindset is really starting to take hold. This mindset is going to spread. Both sides, and I don't have any side. I'm not on either side. All of you know this. Both sides are going to escalate. I do still believe that the left will be the first to use mass violence. Because the right people, the conservatives, want to have the moral high ground, which, with all the pedophiles in their ranks, I don't see how they could ever have that. But I digress about that too. So they're going to call for Nancy Pelosi to resign, or have, because of the humiliated party members. It's always fun to watch retards freak out.
Slash his throat! Every fucking Republican! Suck my fucking balls! Say that one more time. Slash Republican throat! Slash fascist throat! Death to fashion!
Oh, man. It just... check this out. Check this one out. This is the one that should really concern everybody. Oh, if it plays. I guess it's probably just a screenshot. You see, the right isn't taking that seriously. And they probably should. But maybe that's the whole idea. Maybe they don't want people taking that Time magazine cover seriously. Maybe it's intended to be there. Could it be predictive programming? Could it be? Maybe. But this is what I base my statement on, is they've taken one humiliating defeat after another, okay? The left. How many defeats are they going to take before completely fucking cracking. So, that's what I base my previous statement on. And then, of course, we can go flash back to 2017. And we're already, back then, already having problems with the collapse of the food chain. Fast forward to 2020. We have a virus that is ravaging a country where the world has put almost all, a large portion of it, most of the manufacturing capability worldwide. Their commerce, their movement of goods, their movement of money, all that stuff is coming to a grinding halt. And you have to consider something here. Since all the world's goods, for the most part, comes from China, how many of the goods that's been transferred from there to here has been infected? How many? How many metric tons? You have to wonder. What else here? So, they've taken humiliating defeat after humiliating defeat, and I think they're probably going to be out for blood now. Okay? That's what I'm getting at. Moving on. This comes from Michael Schneider. Coronavirus outbreak shows no sign of slowing as crematoriums burn bodies 24 hours a day. You know I wouldn't go without updating or talking about this. The outbreak of this mysterious new virus is getting more frightening with each passing day. As you will see below, even the mainstream media is admitting that the number of cases shows no signs of slowing. And this is even with the Chinese government implementing their, he calls it draconian. I don't know what to call it, but we'll go with that. Their draconian measures in a desperate attempt to contain the virus. And that's exactly what it was. A desperate attempt. All the shit China is doing now is in vain. Probably should have listened to the doctor that first brought it to their attention. Probably should have really paid close attention to what he was trying to tell them, but what they do instead. And you can't expect any better from our government. Many in the Western world continue to insist that this disease is not any more dangerous than the common flu, but the Chinese never locked down entire cities for the flu before. And they don't have motherfuckers running around in hazmat suits all over the world over the flu either. Do they? Of course, everyone could be playing their role. Who knows? Maybe it is all fake. But I doubt it. In recent days, the images that have been coming out of China have been absolutely horrifying. If these images are accurate, people are literally dropping dead in restaurants, shopping malls, and public transportation hubs. Sound like the flu? At the epicenter of this outbreak, crematoriums in Wuhan are burning bodies 24 hours a day as they try to keep up with the flood of dead bodies coming in. The workers at these facilities are completely and totally overwhelmed. Isn't that nice? Wonder just how many people are actually sick here. Wonder. I mean, after all, they've had, how many flights between here and there since early December? A lot. Probably too many to really realize how many, but a lot. And that's understating. But I just think about all those goods that were contaminated during that time. I think about all the goods that came from China with that virus on its surface. Something to consider. When I last posted an article about this pandemic on the Economic Collapse blog 3 days ago, there were 14,637 confirmed cases, and the death toll had risen to 305. And of course, that was official numbers. Okay? And what do we say about official numbers? You have to multiply it by a factor of at least 10. Some people better qualified to comment on these things than I has said 30 times. Something to think about. Since that time, both numbers have nearly doubled, and they have now. The death toll and number of people infected by the Wu flu continues to grow with no signs of slowing, despite severe quarantine and population control methods put in place in central China. Population control methods is right. Of course, Bill Gates, all these billionaires out there, they've been setting this up for years. For years. They've been frothing at the mouth, wanting to release something of this nature on the world. And again, keep in mind, Dr. Cottrell had discovered there's 5 variants of this Wu flu. 5. The number of confirmed cases globally stood at 28,256 as of Thursday morning, with more than 28,000 of those in China. It's a lot more than that now. A lot more. So, this is not going away. It's not going away anytime soon. And as soon as the lingering thought in the back of people's minds, and it's lingering right now, and it's in the back. That it is here. It's probably more widespread than we know. And the supply chain from here to China is down. I wonder how many people are going to have this realization at the same time. I would put my left testicle on a large percentage. I'm going grocery shopping today. It will be interesting, and probably my last time for about a month. So it will be interesting to see what's going on out there, because I really don't go in the public as much as I can. Okay, I don't like stupid people, and every time I'm around stupid people, I feel as if I've been infected by their stupidity. And I'm talking about the voting public, not the truly awakened. So, again, this is not going away. And of course, many are extremely skeptical that the official numbers the Chinese government is giving us are accurate. And that's probably with good reason. With good reason. The numbers you get from your government won't be accurate either, no matter where you live on this planet. One worker at the Cadian Funeral Home in suburban Wuhan has claimed employees are working 24/7 to deal with bodies. That came from Epoch Times. The worker said staff are exhausted and are working without proper equipment. So you can count on those people being among the infected who will end up right there being burned with the rest of them. What do you do if you're a government and you have a medical system that is overwhelmed and there's no possibility of saving them? A lot of them. What do you do? Identified only as Mr. Yu said 90% of our employees are working 24/7. We couldn't go back home. Chillingly, he claimed all Wuhan cremation chambers are working 24 hours. All. From what I understand, that's about 3 of them. According to Mr. Yu or Ya or whatever, his facility needs at least 100 body bags every single day. If every other cremation center in the city is handling a similar workload, that would strongly indicate that the true death toll is far, far larger than we're being told. And you've seen the video footage. I've played it other people have played it that would suggest that he's being truthful. So this isn't going away. And again, I tell you, with the vindictiveness of actually both sides of the aisle, because Donald Trump is firing people who testified against him, and don't get me wrong, it's probably the right thing to do. However, from a public relations standpoint, especially if you're a neutral party or a lefty, it looks kind of vindictive. Just like Nancy Pelosi was being vindictive when she tore up that stupid speech of his. And the utter stupidity of my fellow Americans believing any of this political theater is beyond understandable to me. I just don't understand. I don't understand how people are so willing to be duped. They've been duped from for the last 100 years at least. And at least in this country, soon as the Federal Reserve was created, the income tax was instituted, it was over with. It was done. This nation would never be free again until that freedom was taken back. Let's check out some more headlines. I covered this yesterday, but it's worth repeating. No one knows, and somebody does, they have to know, why Epstein's secret bank account moved millions since his death. So, if you think Jeffrey Epstein is dead, I would probably question that, because he's probably not dead. The debacle in Iowa is a perfect example of the extreme incompetence that is plaguing America. And of course, they're going to say that it's Democrats that are incompetent, but I propose to you that both sides of the aisle are incompetent. I propose to you that both sides of the aisle are plagued with fucking pedophiles. I don't think you can get any worse than that, so there's no need to be listing anymore. People who are willing to throw the public at large under the bus for their own gain. Both sides of the aisle are filled with these types of people. And I covered this yesterday. Epidemiologists, you can't keep the coronavirus out of the U.S. And, no, you can't. It's done. It's done. It's here already. Zero Hedge. White House asks scientists to investigate whether 2019 NCOV was bioengineered. Huh. Isn't that interesting? Kind of makes you wonder, huh? Maybe we should check this one out. Okay. Zero Hitch. A week ago, we published details that raised questions about the source of the Wuhan novel coronavirus, specifically questioning the official theory for the spread of the epidemic, namely because someone ate a bat soup at a Wuhan seafood and animal market as a fabricated farce. And I didn't have to read any articles, saying that it was a fabricated farce. It was painfully fucking obvious. And I talked about this, right? You remember? And, of course, I'm sure it was painfully obvious to my subscribers as well, as they are mostly skeptical of government in general. Let's see here. So, the real reason behind the viral spread, we suggested, as did I, was that a weaponized version of the coronavirus, which may have originally been obtained from Canada, was released by Wuhan's Institute of Virology, presumably accidentally. And of course, I didn't put the term accidentally into my video because I don't really believe that it was accidental. And this is China's only top level 4 biohazard lab, which was studying the world's most dangerous pathogens. And not was studying, is studying. Now, early on, Dr. Cottrell found ample evidence that it was a genetically engineered bioweapon. And I believe him. I do. I believe Dr. Cottrell. He has a lot to lose by coming out with all the stuff he's come out with. And he doesn't care. That much is evident, rather. Okay. So, at the time, we summarized the series of dots and asked real reporters to connect them. Number one of China's top virology and immunology experts was and still works at China's top-rated biohazard lab, the Wuhan Institute of Virology, which some have affectionately called the Real Umbrella Corporation. And make no mistake, the world elite have their hands in this. They're up to their fucking shoulders in this. Since 2009, Peng has been leading Chinese scientists researching the immune mechanisms of bats carrying and transmitting lethal viruses in the world. His primary field of study is researching how and why bats can be infected with some of the most nightmarish viruses in the world, including Ebola, SARS, coronavirus, and not get sick. Various immune pathways, such as the sting pathway in bats, to make bats more or less susceptible to infection, in the process potentially creating a highly resistant mutant superbug. And again, they're going on the premises that this was accidental. I'm not. Not that it couldn't have been, but And there's just too much about it that it just doesn't feel like an accident. But it might just be my paranoia, my own instincts hairwiring. I don't know. Could be. I mean, I'm not always right, but I'm pretty right. I'm right most of the time, so most of the time. As parts of, oh, damn it. As parts of his study, he also researched mutant coronavirus strains that overcame the natural immunity of some bats. These are superbug coronavirus strains, which are resistant to any natural immune pathway and now appear to be out in the wild. You know, it's kind of like, remember we talked about immortal cell lines before? And how difficult they are to kill, and the candida bacteria, how hard that is to kill. Well, you think that as a virus. As of mid-November, his lab was actively hiring inexperienced postdocs to help conduct his research into super coronavirus and bat infections. His work on virology and bat immunity, or immunology, has received support from the Natural Yuqing Fund, the pilot project of the Chinese Academy of Sciences, and the major project of the Ministry of Science and Technology. All right? And since then, Zero Hedge got permanently banned from Twitter for raising such a conspiracy theory about a searchable person working in a searchable place. Now, it's the cat's out of the bag, okay? The cat's out of the bag, and there's no going back. China is not going to recover from this. That the cheap manufacturing goods that we've all come to know and take for granted, honestly, are not going to be so cheap anymore. Just give it a few weeks. We'll see. We'll see if I'm right or if I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But it doesn't look that way. We have Democrats, lefty, progressives, whatever you want to call the retards, making threats, freaking out about yet another humiliating victory. You have people who've already been proposing violence since 2016, before that, pushing for the same again. And eventually, people are going to act on this. It would be awfully convenient for them to act on it while there is a virus quietly spreading across the nation. And again, I tell you, if it were not for the empire governments, the super rich, people like Bill, Melinda Gates, people like the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, and so on, Bushes, and Obamas, Trumps, if it weren't for these people, these types of people, we wouldn't have nearly the problems we have now. Certainly not problems of this nature. You can look through history and see that government can be blamed for a vast majority of our world's problems. And the people who support them are equally as guilty as they are. Anyway, it's gone a little long today. For those of you who don't like long videos, I do apologize. And for those of you who do, here you go. Again, the people like the ones I mentioned. If this goes down to the point where all these people got to go underground, the important people, when they come back out, we cannot allow them to regain control. We can't allow that to happen, no matter what. Otherwise, the people who remain will be their slaves in a more direct and brutal way than now. Anyway, I thought I would talk to you guys about this stuff because it looks pretty bad. I might have been off by a year. I thought 2019 would be worse than it was, but I think it's safe to say that 2020 probably going to be that year. So, to summarize here, we looked at an article on All News Pipeline with the lefties freaking out about being defeated, humiliated once again, and they know they're going to get humiliated in the selection. Remember that they have been threatening violence for a very long time. Remember that you're not going to get good numbers from the Chinese government because they're lying sacks of shit, just like the rest of the governments. Remember that our supply chain is slowly grinding to a halt. Remember that when a mass of people have the same oh shit moment and rush to the stores, after that supplies will never be the same again. Remember that there will be gangs of people out looking for food and killing people just to do it. Remember to keep your ass covered when shit hits the fan. Till next time, kill the state, live free.